So this is AZ-104 lab number 6, manage virtual machines. So let's log in into the Azure portal. Next is we need to open PowerShell and we are going to select PowerShell. Then we have to create a storage account. So after the PowerShell initialize and puts you at the text prompt, exit the shell. So we have to wait until this deployment is done. Now we are connecting to terminal. And we are connected to the terminal. So let's exit this. Lab introduction. In this lab, you create and compare virtual machine to virtual machine scale sets. You learn how to create, configure, and resize a single virtual machine. You learn how to create a virtual machine scale set, configure auto scaling. Lab scenario. Your organization wants to explore deploying and configuring Azure virtual machines. First, you implement an Azure virtual machine with manual scaling. Next, you implement virtual machine scale set and explore auto scaling. This is going to be our roadmap. Task 1, Task 2. So Task 1 is deploy John resilient Azure virtual machine by using Azure portal. Let's go to virtual machine. Create Azure virtual machine. Have to select zone 1 and zone 2. This will deploy 2 virtual machines in the selected region, one in each zone. You achieve 99.99% uptime service level agreement because you have at least 2 VMs distributed across at least 2 zones. In this scenario where you might only need 1 VM, it is best practice to still deploy the VM to another zone. Virtual machine name. Security type is going to be standard. Image is Windows Server 2019 data center Zen 2. We're not applying for discount. Size is already selected by default. Username is local admin. Public inbound none. This is unselected. Okay. This is done. Next, disks. Disk is going to be OS disk type premium SSD. Yes. Delete with EVM checked. Enable ultra disk compatibility. Unchecked. Next, networking. Delete public IP and NIC when VM is deleted checked. And this is delete public IP and NIC when VM is deleted checked. Load balancing option none. Load balancing option none. This is done. Next is management. Patch orchestration option. Azure orchestrated. Selected. Next, monitoring. Boot diagnostic disable. Next, advance. Take defaults. Okay. Next, review and create. And finally, we are going to create a virtual machine. Note. Notice as the virtual machine deploys, the NIC disk and public IP address, if configured, are independently created and managed resources. So this is IP address being created and NIC disks. So our VM is created. Now we'll go to resource. Task 1 is completed. Task 2, manage compute and storage scaling for virtual machine. On AZ-104 VM1 virtual machine in the availability plus scale. Availability plus scale, select size. Set the virtual machine size to DS1v2. DS1v2 and click resize and resize. In setting area, select disks. Once this is done, we will select disk. Now in settings, we are going in disks. Disks, in disk. Under data disk, select plus create and attach new disk. Create and attach new disks. and it is going to be VM1 disk 1 standard HHD, which is going to be standard HHD and 32 gigabyte of size, and then click apply. Now it is creating this successfully created disk, updating virtual machine, and it is done. Next is after the disk has been created, click deattach. So let's deattach. We have deattached the disk. Search for disks. Now let's go to disks. VM1 disk 1. In setting blade select size plus performance. We are going to change storage type to standard SSD 32 gigs. We cannot save because I think the disk is not successfully deattached. Let me just confirm. So let me go to disks. Yes, it is still connected here. Let's deattach this and apply. Now let's go to disk again, to VM1 disk 1, size plus performance 32 gigs, and changing it to standard SSD. Okay, still it is not done. VM1, I have to try it again. Disks, disks, it is still attached, showing what is less. Let's let's try now under virtual machine, under disks, VM1 D1, under size plus performance. We need to select standard SSD 32 gigs. I don't know why it is not showing us here. Okay. VM1 and disks. VM, nothing. It says read only. Okay, let me see again. So we go to AZ-104 VM1, select availability plus scale. And in setting area, select disks. Under data disk, create and attach your disk. Configure these settings and click apply. After the disk has been created, click detached. If necessary, scroll to the right to view detach icon, then click apply. Detaching remove disk from the VM but keep it in the storage for later use. This is VM1. Okay. Now up to this step we have completed. Next is search and select for disks. Select VM1 disk 1. The overview blade also provides performance and uses information for the disk. In the setting blade, select size plus performance and set the storage type to standard SSD. The reason we can't select it because our disk is not being detached. I don't know why, because I have already detached it. Let's try to create a new disk with VM1 disk 1. It says already in resource group. Okay, so let me go to resource group. Resized. Okay, now it is completed. The steps are being completed now. It takes time. Let us go to disks. VM on disk 1 and then size performance. SSD 32 gigs. Yes. So it takes time to update the VM until we receive this notification. The step is not being completed. Now as we updated this storage type, it is successfully updated the disk. So we have done up to this and then navigate back to AZ-104 virtual machine and select disks. AZ-104 VM1, select disks. In the data disk section, select attach existing disk and then select VM1. Verify the standard SSD, yes, and then select apply. It is updating virtual machine. After this, we are going on task 3 and 4. This is scale set. In task 3, we are going to deploy scale set. In task 4, we are going to use custom auto scale rules. So let's go to virtual machine scale sets and select create. And on the basic tab, create a virtual machine scale set. Virtual machine scale set name VMSS1. Region East US, availability zone 1 2 3. Security type standard and Windows Server 2019 data center. It is selected by default. Instance count 2. Scaling mode is not given. Username is local admin. Password is we already have Windows Server license unchecked. Standard D2V D2SV3 it is selected by default, and orchestration mode uniform and rest we are good. Then select next sport. Then next disks. Default value, then networking. On networking page, click the create virtual network. Create virtual network. Link below the virtual network text box and create a new virtual network with the following settings. So name is going to be VMSSVnet, address range 1082.00.20, and subnet name subnet 01, and range is this, and then select OK. In the networking tab, click edit network interface icon, right to the network interface entry. For NIC network security group section, select advanced and then click create new. Under the configured network security group drop down list, on the create network security group blade, specify the following settings. Leave others with their default. Name is right and click add an inbound rule. Add an inbound rule and add an inbound security rule with the following settings. Any star destination, any service HTTP, and priority 1010. Name is allow HTTP. Add. Click add, and on the create network security group click OK. In the edit network interface blade, in the public IP address, click enabled and click OK. In the networking tab under load balancing section, specify the following value. Load balancing option, Azure load balancer, and select a load balancer. Create a load balancer. Load balancer name is load balancer name is VMSSLB. Pause for a minute and review what you've done. At this point, you have configured the virtual machine scale set with disks and networking. In the networking configuration, you have created a network security group and allowed HTTP, and you have also created a load balancer with the public IP address. Okay, okay. On scaling tab, specify the following settings, leave other with their default value, click next management. Initial instance count to, that is moved to basic, I think. Here we have initial count to, and in management scaling policies manual. Yes. On the management tab, specify the following setting, leave other with their default setting. Boot diagnostic disable. Done. And click next health. And on the health tab, review the default settings without making any changes. And click next advanced. Done. On advanced tab, click review and create. So instance count to, security tab standard, network virtual machine, Nikon load balancing, yes, create. Initializing, submitting, deployment in progress. So we have done task 3 and next is scale Azure virtual machine scale set. Now we have to wait until this deployment is done. So deployment is done. Let's go to resources and next is to, to scale Azure virtual machine scale set. Choose scaling from the menu on the left hand side. Okay. Scaling. Did you know you can manual scale or custom auto scale in scale sets with a small number of VM instances? Increasing or decreasing the instance count, manual scale may be best. In scale set with large number of VM instances, scaling based on metrics, custom auto scale may be more appropriate. So now we are going to do scale out rule. Select custom auto scale and then change the scale mode to scale based on metric. Scale based on a metric. And then select add rule. Let's create a rule that automatically increases the number of VM instances. This rule scales out when the average CPU load is greater than 70% for over a 10-minute period. When the rule triggers, the number of VM instances is increased by 20. So metric source is default value and metric namespace virtual machine host and metric name percentage CPU and operator is greater than metric threshold 70 duration 10 time green static average time operation increase percentage by cool countdown minutes 5 percentage 20. add, save. This is scale out rule. Now we are going to add a scale in rule. Select adder rule yes, and operator is going to be less than threshold 30, decrease percentage by 20. Sorry, this was 5. This is 20. Add and save. Next is set instances limit. When your autoscale rule are applied, instance limits make sure that you do not scale out beyond the maximum number of instances or scale in beyond the minimum number of instances. Instances limit are shown on the scaling page after rule. So instances limit minimum to maximum should be 10 and default is 2. Let's save. On VMSS1 page, select instances. This is where you would monitor the number of virtual machines. If you are interested in Azure, using Azure PowerShell for virtual machine creation, try task 5. If you are interested in using CLI to create a virtual machine, try task 6. Okay, so let's complete these as well. So let's go to Cloud Shell. And we are inside PowerShell. Run the following command to create a virtual machine. When prompted, provide a username and password for the VM. While you wait, check out the new AZ-VM command reference for credentials. Now it is creating Azure resource and there is an error. Okay, let's try to restart our Cloud Shell. It is again connecting to Cloud Shell. After doing this, we are going to use cat azvm command. Okay, yeah. Let's run this command again. Virtual VM PowerShell, and then it needs password. And admin username cannot be more than 20 character long, be empty, and with a period. Contain the following character. This is not 20 characters long. Let's try to do it again. This time we are going to use, I think uh, after editing this command, like it is adding this credential in the end and removing these from the command, I am able to create the resource. Now let us wait until this VM is created and then we will move forward with our next step. Now as you can see, we have created this virtual machine by name myps VM, and name is my PSVM, and it is east-us cloud app.azure.com, created 5/27/2024. Next command is get VM AZ-VM. So let's run this command. Verify for new virtual machine is listed and status is running. So this is our new VM and status is running. So we have successfully created VM using PowerShell. Next, we are going to stop this VM using PowerShell. Yes. Notice stopping the running VM. After it is stopped, we are again going to verify this. It is done. Let's run this command again to verify that our VM is stopped successfully deallocated. So last task is task 6, create a virtual machine using CLI. So now we are going to use bash confirm run the following command to create a virtual machine. When prompted, provide a username and password for the virtual machine. While you wait, check out AZVM create command reference. So select this command. Now once command completes, use the AZVM show. Verify the power state is VM running. So power state is VM running. Let us verify that. Verify that. Power state. So here is power state VM running. Next, this command is going to deallocate. AZVM deallocate resource group is this and name is this. Let's run this command. And again, we are going to use AZ show command to see that power state is deallocate. So this step is done. Let us No, not this. We are going to use show command to see that our power state is VMT allocated. So this lab is completed. Thank you.